Hello Spurs fans, welcome back to the channel with me Kieran talking all things Tottenham. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit this video with a like if you enjoy it, and turn on the bell notifications so you get notified when the next video goes live. Before we really kick into this video, I just wanted to talk about this Spurs shirt here and the significance that it has to me. This Spurs shirt here represents family to me, and family is very, very, very important. So this top was actually the top that we wore to my Uncle Kevin's funeral. Now, Kev was a die-hard Spurs fan, and like any true supporters, he absolutely hated Arsenal, he hated West Ham, he hated Chelsea. His hate for them was so much that I remember when I was younger, I had a 50cc scooter when I was 16. He came round and the colour of it was red. He almost disowned me. He kicked it and he was like, "What are you doing? It's Arsenal colours, it's Arsenal." And I mean, he kind of had a point. I also had a pair of red football boots that he saw in the porch one day, and he chucked them out the front door. He was like, "I can't believe you got red football boots." And, you know, that's just the kind of guy he was. It was all tongue-in-cheek and stuff, but he really hated Arsenal. And anyway, back on the main point of it, you know, we lost him some years ago now. And the reason why I say family and why I'm wearing this today is because for the first time in a long time, Tottenham are playing like they're a family. There's a good vibe around the place. And I watch Tottenham's YouTube channel every now and again. And you'll see on there, obviously they do all their interviews, they do a lot of group stuff, they put up training videos. There always seems to be a good bit of banter there. There was one not too long ago, a game of foot tennis. And it just seems great. And you've obviously heard recently about cricket at Spurs. You know, they play a lot in sort of like the gym area. Hueng was talking about it. Now, he doesn't actually get involved and play, but he said he goes in there and does some exercises and stuff because he likes the atmosphere. He said there's really good energy about it, and although he doesn't play, it's just nice to be there. There just seems to be a lot of banter. Obviously, we've got the Welsh Mafia within the squad now, and apparently before that, they did have the French guys. Apparently, they set up their things first. Now, I can't remember what they called it, but there is a video on the Tottenham YouTube where you've got Gareth, Bale and Joe Rodon. Now, they're talking about the Welsh Mafia and sort of like the French contingent that we have. They explain that. But, you know, the club just seems in a good place on and off the pitch. And it just reminds me of sort of like the joy we had when Pochettino was there and we were at our height under him. So, yeah, family. That is the word I would use to describe Tottenham right now in this good run of form. Hopefully it can continue. And yeah, family. So these tops we actually wore to his funeral, and my mum went out and had them all personalised. There it is on there, Kev, 62, RIP. So this is only the third time I've worn it. You know, the first was at the funeral. The second, I made sure I wore it to the first game that I went to see at the new stadium, because unfortunately Kevin passed before he ever got a chance to step foot in that stadium. So yeah, it's only the third time I've worn it, and that's because family is important, and Spurs right now reminds me of family. So the weekend is upon us, and it is the North London derby, the most exciting time for Spurs fans, whether it be home or away, preferably away because we love to get one over the Arsenal on their own patch, which we don't do on a too regular basis, but things have been turning around for us in recent years, and is the power starting to shift officially? So for Arsenal, they don't seem to have any kind of injury worries whatsoever. Team news for us is the same as it's been for a number of weeks now. Gio is the only person that we're missing. He's still out with that back pain. But apart from that, fully fit squad, and the guys we've had have been playing well anyway. Now, on Thursday, we both played in the Europa League. Obviously, our game had to be switched, so we were at home first. We got that 2-0 victory over Zagreb. Arsenal played away at Olympiacos, and they actually won that game 3-1. So they got the 3 away goals. So they are coming into this game with a little bit of confidence. But remember, they did have to travel to and from Greece. So we'll see if that did have any kind of effect on them. Now, we have won our last 3 Premier League games on the bounce. We are 5 points off 4th with a game in hand. If we do win that, obviously, we go 2 points within 4th place. And that really could be our catalyst to push to get into the top four, because we can still qualify for the Champions League through the top four, and we're still in the Europa League. Whereas Arsenal, who are 7 points off us, sitting in 10th, you would probably say for them now top four is out of the question. So their main focus is going to be the Europa League. If you manage to watch the games on Thursday, you'll see that both managers tried to protect their players as much as they could coming into this game. Højbjerg dropped to the bench for us and was just used to come on to shore the game up. Tanguy came off after he took a battering. Bale came off. Son also came off. Lamela came off. You saw players protected and rested ready. Kane came off for us, but I don't think he was planned to be taken off. It was more because he picked up that little knock to the knee, but we hear that he's fine. And Arsenal also tried to protect Partey, Aubameyang and Saka. But things are different for them. Europa League is probably their best chance to get into the Champions League this year, which is why all three of those players started. For them, they really have to push. But once it was job done for them, they then decided to protect players, no doubt with this game in mind on Sunday. If we move on to press conferences, I am going to use my notes here because there is a lot of stuff going on for a North London derby game. So Jose's press conference, he was asked a lot of questions once again that weren't really much to do with the game. He was asked about Harry Kane, talking about whether he can continue to play at a later age, such as players under Mourinho with Zlatan. Drogba was 40, Ronaldo, Eto'o, I think he played to 38, 39, something like that. His answer was, ask Harry. You know, he doesn't know what Harry's got planned in the future, but he did say, look, he's only 28, he's still relatively young in that sense, so it's a long way off yet. But he did say that, like the others, intelligent players find ways to adapt to be able to play later in their careers. They find different ways, maybe move positions, things like that. He was asked about the balance of power between the North London clubs. Has there been a shift of power? Do we now dominate North London? And Jose, very sensible answer, said he didn't want to disrespect Arsenal in any way. You know, they're a big club, they've got a good history, so he said he respects them in that sense. But he's very proud to be the Tottenham manager and doesn't want to disrespect Arsenal. But then the following question was what he's made of Arsenal this season. And he said, I look up, not down. So although he said he wants to respect Arsenal in one sense, he's kind of thrown a little dig in there saying, you know, we are above them. But he did say if Arsenal were 7 points ahead of us, he'd be looking up. They're a team to catch. But as they're below us, you don't look down in the table. You don't look at what's below you. You only want to achieve what is above you. And Arsenal aren't above us. But he did say, obviously, you have to look at them as a team because you have to analyse them because they are the upcoming games. So he looks game to game. But in terms of chasing the pack, he only looks up. He was asked another question about Kane. Has he ever worked with a player like Kane before, you know, in terms of his commitment, hunger, and all that jazz? And for Jose, obviously he wasn't going to put Kane in a category on his own. He's worked with many great players, some of the strikers that I mentioned from a previous question, but then you've got players like, you know, Lampard, Sergio Ramos, John Terry, Makelele. He's worked with some incredible players over the time with great ambitions, but you know, he put Kane in that bracket. He said he's not just a top player, he's a top professional. And he did say that sometimes top players aren't always top professionals. He was then asked about Aurier and Doherty. You know, both are playing well right now. And he was saying that, you know, it's amazing that both of them are playing well. That's what he's always wanted. You know, Aurier before he came was a bit of a mess, big mistakes. And then when Mourinho came, I think, and this is my personal opinion, many Spurs fans may disagree with me, but Aurier, especially in the beginning, was one of the most improved players under Mourinho. Yes, he did make some glaring errors, but he doesn't make many mistakes throughout the game. He just has the big errors, which obviously get picked up more than, you know, 5 or 6 little mistakes over the course of a game. But for me, one of the most improved. We brought in Doherty to provide him with competition and possibly take his spot. That hasn't happened as Doherty's got to relearn his position. He hasn't played as a proper right back in a long time. He's been a right wing back. But he's now starting to come into form. And that's good competition. And he did mention on the other side of the pitch, you know, Davies and Reguilon saying that they're playing really well. And they have been recently. And I feel like Reguilon has pushed Davies back onto another level. Davies is attacking a lot more. From that question, he did then elaborate onto the fact that he made 7 changes in the Europa League game against Zagreb. And he said he did that because he now trusts all the players. He feels like they can get the job done. And they did prove to him that they can do that. And he said about the disappointment against Antwerp, where he made a lot of changes there and he felt like the players let him down and there wasn't enough hunger and desire there. You know, sometimes teams look at inferior teams that they feel they should be and don't give it their all. They don't show the passion. But now we're certainly fighting for every cause against every team. If we now move on to Arteta's press conference, I only saw little clips of this. They spoke about last time we played them, you know, when we beat them 2-0. Arteta said he felt that Arsenal dominated large periods of the game, but he did admit that we have a lot of quality and we are very well organised, which you expect of a Jose team. He was asked how hard it is to keep our strike force quiet. And he said it's very difficult. They all have quality. They've all got precision. There's a good chemistry there. You know, they're all very good individually. They can create something out of nothing, but they're also very good at linking up. He said our strike force is one of the best in Europe. You know, and I agree with that. Clean sheets, we know, have been a problem for Arsenal recently. They only have, one clean sheet in their last 12 games. So he was asked if that's a problem they need to work on. And he said that, you know, they don't concede loads of chances, but they concede almost, he was getting at they concede big chances and it has a negative effect on the games. So hopefully we can capitalise on that if they continue to make it. I mean, they made a howler against Burnley, which ended up in a 1-1 draw. They also made a mistake against Olympiacos. I know they come out of that game comfortably, but nonetheless, there still is those mistakes in there. He was also asked about the consistency in a strange season, and it was pointed out that Man City are the only team that have really managed consistency. But if we look back, even they struggled right at the beginning of the season. They've just turned things around and they haven't had another blip yet. And you know, Arteta conceded the same as everybody does, that it is a strange season. There's a lot of fixtures. They come thick and fast. And he will know just the same as us, when you're in a lot of competitions, you haven't really got room to breathe. You've got to contend with the fact that there are going to be players injured, there are going to be players in and out of form, and it's just about managing your squad sensibly to try and get through that. If we have a look at Arsenal's weaknesses, where we can really get through them, it's definitely the defence, and not only that, goalkeepers. The problem with Arsenal, and they keep conceding these sloppy goals because they have a habit of trying to play out from the back. Now, we know Arteta obviously worked with Pep Guardiola. Both of them have a similar way of playing that they like to play out from the back, which is why we saw Pep Guardiola actually get rid of Joe Hart, because he just didn't trust him as much with his feet. Whereas, you know, with Arsenal, I don't feel like the team are quite ready to play out the back all the time. And Man City have learnt that you can't always play out from the back. Sometimes you just need to clear your lines, which Arsenal aren't doing. For some reason, they feel this pressure to keep playing out from the back. They're not clearing their lines. And if we can continue pressing the way we have been recently, you know, with Sonny, Lucas Moura, Lamela, Dele, Kane, all of those giving that energy, I feel like we can really create problems for them, and that is going to be a way in if they continue to try and play out from the back every time. The other thing that could work in our favour is they do have, you know, the second leg against Olympiacos. Obviously, they've got that 3-1 cushion and they've got the away goals. So I can't see Olympiacos coming back into it, but they're not going to want to be complacent on that. They have to prioritise that, as it's probably going to be their only route to Champions League football next season. So they may have one eye on that. And if they do take a lead against us, as the game wears on, you may see Arteta make changes that could be detrimental to them and allow us back into the game. But the way we're playing at the moment, I would love to say that I don't think we're going to get to that situation. I feel like we will put it on them in this game. Players to look out for. We know that Aubameyang can be really dangerous on his day. I feel like he'll be tightly marked. Odegaard is starting to look good. He scored a really good goal against Olympiacos. He's a lovely little player. And then Partey, he hasn't quite hit his best form yet. But, you know, London derbies, they do tend to bring the best out in a lot of players that haven't been performing to their best in recent times. So watch out for him as well. Now, luckily for us, it seems that we have hit form at the best moment. You know, we've really struggled this season over a period of times, but it just seems now pretty much all our players are back fit. Dele has made his way back into the squad since the January window was shut, putting some good performances. Kane seems to be better now that that injury has settled down for him, scoring goals again. Sonny has been good pretty much all season. Gareth Bale is now fit and is scoring goals and looking good. Both sets of fullbacks are looking good. Obviously, Reguilon's back from that injury. Tanguy has turned things around and been one of our most important players this season. Højbjerg has been an absolute rock and probably one of the most vital cogs in this team. We seem to now almost have a settled centre-back partnership of Alderweireld and Sanchez, so I'll expect them to play again. Just all round the pitch, things are looking good. Moore has been excellent the last few games. Lamella's been unlucky not to start, but every time he's come off the bench, he's been fantastic. What more can you say? This is just looking like a really settled squad now. And I feel like this game is very crucial just to see where we are at. It's a big, big game, not just for the fans, but for bragging rights as the Kings of North London. So I feel like if we win this game, we can honestly say we're back. We can push on. We'll go through in the Europa League. Hopefully smash City in the cup final. And this could really be our season to start, getting back to where Spurs really need to be. If we just talk head-to-heads, and I'm going to refer to my notes again here, Arsenal are winless in the last 5 against us. So we've beaten them 3 times and there's been 2 draws. But Arsenal have never gone 6 games without a win against us. Read into that what you will. And we are looking to win 3 in a row for the first time since October 1974. I mean, that is a long, long, long time. But you've got to remember during that period, yes, Arsenal were the more dominant team. They've been higher up the table for a long time. But in recent times, we've seen these sort of things start to shift in our favour. We've become a real danger. And the games, I wouldn't say they're more exciting, because when we were lower down, we had some really, really exciting games against them. Some high-scoring games. There was one where they won 5-4, but there was 9 different goal scorers in that game. Just incredible. But yeah, we've really stepped things up on a proper competition for them. And if we beat them, it will be the first league double against them since the 92-93 season. So that's one to look forward to. Arsenal have lost 2 of the last 35 home games against Spurs, with 19 wins and 14 draws. But as I said, in recent times, that's starting to shift. That dates back a long time, that does. And interestingly, only Everton and Liverpool have finished as a draw more often than this game. In the North London derby, both teams find the net more often than any other fixture in the Premier League. So expect goals from both teams. And that's reflected in my score prediction that I'll talk about right at the end of the video. And interestingly, this is the 3rd dirtiest fixture of all teams that have played over 20 games against each other, with an average of 4.2 cards per game. Now that's a lot. But the only 2 that are dirtier than ours is Chelsea versus Man United and Sunderland Newcastle. Now that game I've seen many a time and it can get quite dirty. That is a good derby to watch when they play. But if we're 4.2 cards a game, I would love to know how many cards they average per game. But yeah, 3rd dirtiest fixture. So expect some challenges to be flying about. If Dyer does get to play, we know he loves to get stuck in against the Arsenal. Delhi definitely loves an argument and a wind-up against them. So they're 2 players to look out for. So yeah, expect some cards in that game. If Lamela plays, he's guaranteed a card in most games. So you can guarantee he'll get one in this game if he plays. Even if it's 5 minutes, he'll probably get a card. If we look at Arsenal, they've only lost 1 of their last 7 at home. So they've got 3 draws and 3 wins. But they've lost 5 home games this season already. We have only scored 10 goals in our last 11 away games, which isn't great. That's just under a goal a game. And when you reflect that against, right at the beginning of the season, our first 2 away games, we actually scored 11 goals just in those 2 games. What was it? There was a 5-2 and there was the 6-1 win against Southampton. So yeah, things on the road for us haven't gone as well in goal scoring form. So hopefully that will change with Kane firing, Gareth Bale chipping in with the goals. And Son hasn't scored in his last, 5 games? I know he has produced some assists, but hopefully he gets back on the scoring charts as well. No Arsenal manager has ever lost their first 3 North London derbies. Is it Arteta's time? Will he be the first to lose 3 of the first North London derbies? I hope so. As we all know, heading into this game, Harry Kane is the all-time leading goal scorer in North London derbies. He loves a goal against Arsenal. You know, some of the goals that I've seen him score against Arsenal, I've been in the stadium and seen him score, and it's just a magical moment. The guy shows so much passion when he scores against the Arsenal. I wouldn't put it past him getting another couple against them on Sunday. Fingers crossed. Please, Harry. And then if we just quickly throw Bale into that equation, he's actually scored 4 goals and he has 2 assists in his last 4 Premier League games. And he has 5 goals against Arsenal. So is it going to be Bale and Kane again? We shall see. Now, it wouldn't be a North London derby talk without going over some of the best goals that we've scored over the years against Arsenal. So I'm just going to run through a few of them. Some of my favourites. Tom Huddleston, 2011. A corner, a clearance from an Arsenal player. Huddleston's outside of the edge of the box. Hits it sweetly into the bottom right-hand corner. Beautiful goal. Genus, 2007. 94 minutes and some seconds on the clock. Outside the box. Bottom left-hand corner. It's a lovely strike and that earns us a draw. Very important goal. Paul Allen, 92. A lovely counter-attack. Arsenal have been on the break. Keeper's got the ball, releases it. There's some nice interplay. We work our way down the pitch. And there's Paul Allen to finish that ball, put it in the back of the net. Lovely, lovely team goal. Sherwood, 99. From a free kick. There was the 3 men. The pass, the stop. Sherwood comes in, hits a beautiful free kick. 2004, now this really is one of my favourites. Jermaine Defoe, a lovely solo run from the left-hand side, weaving in and out of players, gets into the box and smashes it with his right foot across into that top right-hand corner. Keeper left with no chance whatsoever. Kyle Walker, 2011. I think Modric takes a shot in the box, the ball comes out. Walker flies onto it, takes a touch out to his right, smashes it across goal. Keeper just touches it, goes underneath him into the bottom left-hand corner. Christian Ziga, 2002. This is another free kick. Quite central, long range, so much swerve into the top right-hand corner. David Bentley. Now this is one of the favourites that always crops up, being a former Arsenal man himself, and celebrates like it's his first goal. It's going to be his last goal. You know, it's teed up nicely for him. He hits it with his instep and bang, from so far out, loads of loft, plenty of dip, into the back of the net. Everybody on the pitch goes wild. Harry Kane, 2016. Now, I was actually there at this game and I wasn't sitting in one of my usual seats. I was actually sitting sort of like opposite where it happened. So there he is out on the left-hand side, in line with the 18-yard box, cuts back. He has no right to score from here at all. Difficult angle, plenty of whip on it, bends it round the defender and uses him sort of to pick his angle, bends it right round him into that top right-hand corner. What a goal. Comes steaming across to celebrate to the side where I was sitting, takes that protective mask off that he was wearing, if anyone remembers that, you know, clear mask that he had on after that injury that he had to his face. Slides down. Harry Kane, what a goal, what a moment. Unfortunately, we didn't go on to win that game. I think, was it Theo Walcott went down to then get a very, very late equaliser. At that moment, we thought we'd won, but, you know, it wasn't to be. But what a great goal. And then how can we forget the pick of the bunch? It was his very, very first goal for Tottenham. Danny Rose, 2010. And it was that sweet, sweet volley from like 30 yards out. Comes out, bang, hits it sweet as you like, straight into the back of the net. You know, a moment he will never forget. And that goal will always go down in history as one of, if not the best, in a North London derby. And it is just such a shame to see what has happened to Danny in his career for Tottenham. I still feel there's a top player in there. He's at a decent age. It's just a shame we couldn't resolve things and at least get him on the pitch for this second half of the season, just to say goodbye to the Spurs fans. But, you know, whatever's gone on behind the scenes has gone on. And I wish him all the best for the future after this season, when he no doubt will move away from the club. But Danny Rose, what a goal. So those really, they are 10 of my favourite goals that we've scored against Arsenal. Now, what would this be without some predictions? I want to know what you think. Comment below on predicted lineups. I want to know your predicted score. I want to know your predicted scorers. You know, get involved. Let's have a bit of convo. If you talk to me, I will get back to you. And when we talk post-match, you know, I'll give you some shout-outs if, you know, people were right and things like that. So for me, if we just talk lineups, and this is not just what I think Jose will go with on the majority, but these are things that I would like to see as well. Obviously, Hugo in goal. Left back, I feel like we have to go with Reguilon because he can defend, but he does give us that pace. If Arsenal counter-attack quickly, which we know they can, he has the pace to get back and cover. I just feel like, although Davies has turned things around and he's playing well, Reguilon really offers us more cover, and he is more of an attacking threat. The guy's got a great left foot on him, pings in some great crosses. So for me, it's him. On the right, I'm going to go for Aurier. I just feel of the two at the moment, he's slightly ahead of Doherty, even though Doherty's picked up in form. He's the guy I want to see there. And he was very attacking in the first half against Zagreb, and hopefully he can continue that. Centre-backs, I don't feel like there's any other way we can go other than Sanchez and Toby. They seem to have settled in the last few games. Toby had a rest on Thursday, so should come back into the squad nice and fresh. Sanchez, for me, he just needs games. The more he can play, the better he's going to become. And he needs a partner to settle with. And I think Hugo, if you asked him, would prefer for the defence not to be chopped and changed. A goalkeeper will always want two centre-backs in front of them that are consistent every game. So for me, them two have to play. Now, the two in front of them, Højbjerg is a dead cert to start. There isn't a single Spurs fan out there that would want him on the bench and not involve him. The guy's solid. He has to play there. Next to him has to be Tanguy. You know, his shifts that he puts in at the moment are ridiculous. He's got the fitness now. He's very good at picking up the ball from deep and linking play. He's good at driving past players. He complements Højbjerg really well. You know, sometimes it gives Højbjerg a little bit of freedom to go forward and then link up further. So he has to play. He's a tricky customer and he will cause Arsenal a lot of problems in that midfield. Moving slightly further forward, obviously on the left, Sonny has to play. You know, he was taken off against Zagreb, so he had some time to recover. He's played a lot of minutes. Super Son has to be on that pitch because of his link up with Kane, because of the problems that he causes with his pace, as he did against Zagreb. He run that fullback ragged. The guy's intelligent. He's just good for link up play and I love his effort. On the right, I'm going to stick with Gareth Bale. I just think the guy's been in incredible form recently. And this is the sort of game that he will absolutely love. I mean, the fact that he scored 5 goals against them before. He's a big game player, as we saw for Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey final with that incredible goal where he runs off the pitch. We've seen it in the Champions League with his overhead kicks. The guy needs to play this game with the form he's in. I would not be surprised if we see him score. Harry Kane is obviously going to be up top. There isn't anybody else that's going to play there so long as he's fit. And the one position where I really can't call it, and I don't know what I prefer, is sitting in that number 10 role. We have 3 players that would possibly play there. Dele, Moura, Lamela. Now, Dele's got the experience of a few North London derbies. You know, he's been one of the wind-up merchants. Walcott, we saw, come off with an injury in one game and he'd done the whole 2-0 thing. Dele then used that in a future game, 2-0 to the fans to wind them up and cause the hell of a stir. He will get Arsenal wound up. He will rile them up. So he's a good option and he's starting to come back into form. However, Moura is Mr. Form at the moment. You know, he's had the most minutes of these guys recently. He's really putting a shift in. He causes a lot of problems in that number 10 role. You know, when he plays out on the right, he tends to go missing in these games. You know, he's dribbling and that. And he finds it hard to get into the game. He said this himself. When he plays in that number 10 role, the ball can come at him from all angles. When you're out wide, it only comes from you from one side. In that central position, it can come to him from deep. It can be knocked back from the striker. It can come in from either of the wingers. You've got more space. You can go left. You can go right. You can go forward. You can cut backwards. And I think he thrives on that. He's a very good dribbler in and out of these positions. His link-up play has been a lot better. I just wish he'd contribute with a few more goals. But he does score goals in important games, as we know. Champions League hat-trick. Pretty much single-handedly, with a bit of help from Llorente, got us to that final. So Moura will probably be the guy in there. But then you've got a case for Lamela. He was fantastic against Zagreb, But the fact is, he did play the majority of that game. So he may be on the bench to then come on to sort of add a bit of energy as the game goes on. But any of those three for me could play, and I wouldn't have a grumble no matter which one of them played. So for me, that is the predicted lineup with any of them three in that position. Let me know who you want there. There's an argument for all three. Now, scores. This is a difficult one because traditionally there are goals in these games, sometimes real high results. I've gone for 3-1. I feel like our defence is looking better, but Arsenal do have a goal in them, and we also do have a mistake in us. But I feel like they have more mistakes in them, and we've hit form at the right time. So I've gone for a 3-1. What do you guys think? And scorers. Who's going to get these goals for us? Now, you would expect Harry Kane to get one because he loves a goal against Arsenal. So I reckon the three scorers will be Harry Kane, Gareth Bale, and then I might throw a surprise one in there. I reckon we could see Toby from a corner. These games tend to throw up random scorers, as we've seen before. I think in that 5-4 win where there was 9 different scorers, Paul Stalteri was one of the scorers. The last guy you expect to be tearing down the pitch, running through centrally for a goal. So these games throw up random scorers. Toby is good in the air from corners, hasn't scored as many goals for us as he maybe would have liked to. So him, or maybe Serge Aurier. He's got a goal in his locker. He scored a few for us. He loves to hit the ball with a bit of power, and he's been getting forward more recently. So yeah, Toby or Aurier for me. Let me know below. Who do you think's going to score? What do you think the result's going to be? So anyway, that's it for my little pre-match talk of Tottenham versus Arsenal. 4:30 kickoff at the Emirates. What do you think? Let's prove we are the kings of North London. Let's kick them when they're down. Let's make sure Arteta is the first manager to lose his first 3 games against Spurs. Let's keep them down there. And as always, come on you Spurs. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on that video. Really looking forward to the game. Really looking forward to some interaction with you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed the video, support it with a like. It means a lot to me. And also, if you want to, turn on the bell notifications so you get notified when the next video goes live, which should be tomorrow. Yes, Monday. I will be talking to you guys about the game, about the result, hopefully with a smile on my face. But as always, stay safe and come on you Spurs.